Hello, and welcome. This is the beginning of a YouTube series focused on YouTube. Today, we will ask what are the odds of a perfect YouTube video measured by performance. First, we must identify what makes the perfect YouTube video. We'll go strictly by performance, specifically numbers, as there is no better concrete way to gauge a video's performance than through sheer data. To start, we'll determine the limitations placed on videos for each of the categories, like views, comments, and likes. Although there are some exceptions to the rule, there is generally a 12-hour length limit to videos. A view generally only counts if YouTube determines a user intentionally initiates the start of a video and watches a combined total of 30 seconds. There is also an upper limit of about 5 for the same user watching a video multiple times in one day. We'll assume that the number of likes and comments on a video cannot exceed the number of video views. Next, we'll determine the number of possible YouTube accounts, VR. Currently, there are about 2.70 billion users. Now, if all those users watched a single video 5 times per day, what would that look like? If we accept that YouTube's definition of a day is simply a 24-hour window, a 4.8-hour video could be watched 5 times in that span. In that sense, the video will gain approximately 13.5 billion views per day, and the video's watch time will grow 64.8 billion hours per day. As for likes, the number will slowly tend to 2.70 billion. Comments could potentially grow further. Assuming comments never get deleted or removed, the amount could exceed the number of likes. Instead of these definitive numbers, we can use an equation with multiple variables. One can determine the number of views per day and another the hours watched per day, or VPD and HWD. VPD will equal VR times VW, where VR equals the amount of viewers and VW equals the videos watched in a day, our limit being 5. In our base case, this comes out to 2.70 billion times 5, or 13.5 billion. For HWD is equal to VPD times VL, where VL is the length of our video. It can be broken down further into VR times VW times VL. In our base case, this came out to 2.70 billion times 5 times 4.8 hours, or 64.8 billion hours. Using these equations, we can quickly estimate these values when changing our parameters. We can take a look at what happens when we target views or watch time specifically. Realistically, every active YouTube user can't watch a single 4.8-hour video 5 times every single day. When would they sleep? We'll have to divide the day, the 24-hour span, into video and non-video portions. To keep things simple, we'll divide the day into two 12-hour sections. Now, if we were to prioritize watch time, the video's length could be the original 4.8 hours, a halved 2.4 hours, or a jumbo 12 hours, or anything in between. We'll throw these numbers into the two equations. For 2.4, VPD equals 13.5 billion views. For 12 hours, views equals 2.7 billion. 2.4 hours, hours watched equals 32.4 billion hours. And for 12, it's the same. In this case, we see that the hours watched are the same, but the views are drastically different. These were set cases with simple numbers. What if a video's length as measured between 30 seconds and 12 hours? First off, we'll need to think up new equations because our current VPD doesn't even consider video length. We'll also add another variable, which will represent the total number of hours in a day devoted to watching the video, TH. So our new VPD equation is TH over VL times VR, where TH over VL cannot exceed a predetermined limit, in this case 5. In our base case, this came out to our 13.5 billion views. HWD will equal TH over VL times VR times VL. In our base case, this was our 64.8 billion hours watched per day. We can reduce this equation by making sure TH does not exceed 5 VL. So, TH is less than or equal to 5 times VL. Our reduced equation becomes HWD equals TH times VR. With a TH of 1.25 hours and a video length of 0.25 hours or 15 minutes, there will be a views per day of 13.5 billion views and an hours watched per day of 3.375 billion hours. Notice how the number of views now surpasses the watch time in hours. A simple explanation for this could be that our video length dropped to under an hour. To test this, we could simply make video length 1 hour and also test TH being less than, equal to, and greater than that amount. Also, from here on, we can make VR something much more sensible at just 270. For TH is less than VL, we'll take TH to be 0.5. In this case, VPD is 135 and HWD is also 135 hours. We can see that this case doesn't make sense, as VPD should be the full 270. This must mean that TH over VL in the VPD equation must be at least 1. We could give this a new name, times watched, TW. Therefore, from now on, VPD is equal to TW times VR, and HWD is equal to TH times VR. With the following restrictions, TH is less than 5 times VL, and TW is greater than or equal to 1. For the case where TH is equal to VL equal to 1, the VPD is 270 and the HWD is also 270. This case does make sense, as 270 people watch a 1 hour long video once. For the case where TH is in between VL and 5VL, we'll set it at 2, so TW will also be 2. VPD is 540 and HWD is 540. Finally, let's determine some odds, specifically what the odds are of a perfect video. We have an ideal in mind already, that being the 13.5 billion views per day and a 64.8 billion hours watched per day. That's obviously unattainable. First, we'll have to determine what our new perfect video goal should be. This should also be something tied to a video's length, VL. A perfect video would likely be watched by every active member on the platform at least once. We'll drop the time frame of 24 hours along with a 5 view limit for each user, as we'll assume users won't exceed those. We'll also determine TH to equal VL. With this in mind, our adjusted goal becomes VPD is equal to VR is equal to 2.70 billion, and HWD is equal to VR times VL, or 2.70 billion times VL. For our goal of 2.70 billion to be reached, every single active user, assuming that this number represents 2.70 billion active individuals, would have to watch the video. For now, let's determine the odds of one individual watching such a video. In my "what are the odds you watch this video?" I determined this to be roughly 0.000000025% per day, or 1 in 40 billion. So, for every person to watch a single video on the same day no less, the odds become 1 over 40 billion to the power of 2.7 billion. The result is 1 in 3.85 times 10 to the power of approximately 28 billion. Percentage-wise, we should expect something in the range of 28 billion zeros. If it took me 1 second to write a single zero, this number would take approximately 304 years to write. Alternatively, if I were to publish a 12-hour long video of me writing this number out, I'd have to write about 222,000 zeros every second. So, VPD odds is equal to about 0.28 billion zeros plus some insignificant non-zero decimal at the end, percent. Second, HWD. We'll assume that each active user to the count of 2.70 billion actively watches videos for at least VL duration. If this is the case, how likely is it that the full video length is watched for each user? Since HWD is made up of VPD and VL, we can take the 28 billion zeros from VPD. All we have to do is determine how likely each and every user is to watch the entire video. Since a view is only counted from 30 seconds onward, we'll measure in increments of 30 seconds. VL can effectively be made of these 30-second increments. If VL is 1 minute, then it would be two 30-second increments. Since the first is guaranteed for the view to count, we only have to consider the following segments. In the case of the 1-minute video, there will only be one extra 30-second section. If we make things simple and say that each successive 30-second installment has reduced odds to the tune of 1/2, this keeps things simple. We'll start with three base cases. VL is equal to 30 seconds, 1 minute, and 12 hours. For VL is equal to 30 seconds, since there are no additional 30-second windows, we'll go ahead with our VPD odds of 28 billion zeros, resulting in an HWD is equal to 2,500 years. For a video length of 1 minute, with one additional 30-second window, we'll have to add 1/2 for each viewer. That ultimately results in an additional 1/2 to the power of 2.7 billion multiplier, which effectively adds another 800 million zeros to end up at 0.28,800,000,000 zeros plus a non-zero integer percent, resulting in a HWD of 5,000 years. For a video length of 12 hours, this time there are 1,440 intervals. This ultimately adds another 1/2 to the power of 1440 times 2.7 billion multiplier, which effectively adds approximately another 1 trillion zeros to end up at approximately 0.1 trillion zeros later plus non-zero integer percent, resulting in HWD is equal to 444,000 centuries. We can use a variable for how many 30-second intervals there are, TSI. TSI is related to VL by the following formula. TSI times 30 seconds is equal to VL. We can also use a variable for the expected continued watch rate. While our base case is set at 1/2, it could very well be anything larger or smaller, CWR. We can also revert back to VR and odds of watching the video, W. We end up with the HWD odds, or VPD odds times VL odds, of W to the power of VR times CWR to the power of TSI times VR times 100%, where W is the odds of a single person watching a single video, VR is the amount of active users, CWR is the determined rate that a person is expected to continue to watch a video measured in 30-second intervals, and TSI is the number of those 30-second intervals in a video. This new equation can be used to determine the odds in regard to watch time for any video under any circumstance. Let's use an example with a W of 1 in 10,000, a VR of 10 million, a CWR of 3 in 4, and a TSI of 20. This means we can expect every 1 in 10,000 of the 10 million active viewers to watch the 10-minute video and continue to watch for every successive TSI about 3/4 of the time. Throwing these numbers into the formula, we get 1 in 10,000 to the 10 millionth power times 3 in 4 to the 20 times 10 millionth power times 100%. This results in a percentage with approximately 65 million zeros. Thanks for watching.